It's already week 3 and a top 10 showdown comes to Titan Stadium. Iowa Western look to begin their crawl back up the rankings. This week's opponent trying to prove that they belong in the top spot. Highlights and more coming up as we look back at 7th ranked Iowa Western and number 1 Hutchinson. It's the Iowa Western Football Coaches Show. It's known as the Coach Stroh Show, and we've got it next on Iowa Western Television's Reaver Sports Network. From the studios of IWTV in Council Bluffs, a big-time matchup in the Bluffs in week number 3 as Hutchinson comes to town. I'm Jake Ryan along with head football coach Scott Strohmeyer. Coach, your team, the underdog, first time against a number 1 team since, I believe, 2014 when you matched up in the national championship game. You've played some good teams over the year, but very rarely are you the underdog. How did you feel that this year's squad matched up against what Hutchinson was bringing to town?
Well, I mean, I thought we matched up pretty well. I think the biggest thing is they're playing really well, and we didn't play our best the week before. So how are we going to respond to that? I thought our kids had a really good week of practice, and we're, excited for the matchup.
Now, we use that term underdog, but this could have easily been a number 1 versus number 2 matchup where you guys were the favorites. So how do you change, the feeling that you're going in against the number 1 team in the country when you should have been the number 1 team in the country if you got to win the week before?
For sure. Well, I mean, I think, and that's what our guys were. It was really my approach that you can prove that we're the number 1 team in the country, if we really think we are. So, I don't know. It wouldn't have changed too much. I mean, our guys probably would have been a little bit more fired up on Sunday and Monday than we were, and maybe a better Tuesday practice. But it's a good team. No matter where you're at, you got to come ready to go.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the highlights coming to you from Titan Stadium in Council Bluffs as the Reavers start out. Man, I tell you what, Rocky gets more and more daring every year as you see him with the Iowa Western cheer team. There's the captains shaking hands before the opening kickoff, and it's Hutchinson end over end. Zaquandre White from the goal line bringing it out, and he's been your primary kickoff guy. What do you do with kickoff guys as the season continues on? How do you practice improving their game as that pass is tipped away from Cam Thomas?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because you don't do many live kickoff returns, so they got to get it in a few reps in practice.
Hutchinson going to work with their high-powered offense. Mark Wright, you saw him last year against Ellsworth, and, well, his dangerous footwork and arm led to a couple of problems early on.
Yeah, well, I mean, we knew. I mean, we're hoping to get this one to bounce right back into their hands. But, we know going into it how they're going to utilize them, and, you just got to try to contain them.
Yeah, Tyon Evans in from 9 yards out on the fumble recovery. So back to work for the Reavers, trailing 7-0. Cam Thomas racing out of pressure. A little bit daring for Cam on that far sideline, lowering the shoulder, diving forward, and then again back to work across the middle, this time into the hands of Corey Reed Jr. It looked like you were using him a little bit more across the field this week than you did in the past few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, just with what they were trying to do to us, you got to get them across the field, and where you can sometimes lose, the defenders can lose them.
Good tackle by Zion Williams, then a hand up to one of several backs that we saw on the day. They had a fleet of them, Coach, and they all were about the same body type.
Well, I mean, we have a rule. We can only travel 65 guys to an away game. They don't have a rule, so they can trust as many as they want, and they had over 80, so you can bring some more depth.
Well, they certainly did, and they go up 14-0 on that long touchdown pass. You come in, you finally bring in number 7, Shelton Applewhite Jr., going to work, and he provides an immediate spark, finding Deshaun Stoudemire down the near sideline.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. He had a lot of adrenaline going into getting that opportunity, so it's good to see him make a couple plays.
There's your sophomore running back, Zaquandre White. Great week against Iowa Central. Pretty good week this week as well. And then to the end zone, Corey Reed Jr. just got the inside path against the defender, and Shelton Applewhite finds him for his first career touchdown pass.
Yeah, we checked it and seen what they were in and just had to win the one-on-one matchup.
So 14-7, you take a look at the bench, the dark side kind of regrouping, trying to get going, and Applewhite back out. Here it is in the second quarter, another long touchdown, another long pass. This one down the field, Corey Reed feels like maybe he was interfered a little bit with, but no call.
Yeah, I mean, what they were doing, we knew going in we were going to have to take a few shots.
Cody Lindquist, you've used Cody mostly, but Luke Waters has come in a few times. You like what he does, and then I referenced this young man's hair right before he drops the football inside the 10, and I would say Zion Perry a little fired up after coming out of that stack. Brian Sneed back to the end zone for the third consecutive week that he's found himself a touchdown.
Yeah, it was good. We took advantage of one of their errors, and unfortunately we can't tie it up there with an extra point they blocked. But for how we played, to be 14 to 13, I think we were pretty fortunate.
Yeah, and that was not on Chase Contreras so much as it was great special teams for Hutch getting in and getting that block. Just had too much push for that special teams line.
Yeah, we have a couple new guys on there, and you run in for the first time, you're not used to it.
So there's another one of those backs running for Hutchinson. Mark Wright, time to throw, races out to the outside. He'll fake to the end zone, then throw to the end zone. A little bit much zing on that pass, and it's out. They'll try for the field goal, and then you guys come up with the big stop. A blocked field goal, they'll cover it, and you take over down just a point and a chance to maybe take the lead here in the second quarter.
Yeah, a little bit of momentum switch, and now this is where we got to take advantage offensively. I felt there was maybe 3 or 4 possessions, and there we had a route that was broken off too shallow and throws off the timing, and that knocks us. We can't have those on 3rd and 8.
Again, the defensive line stringing him out. I felt like maybe there was a lot of tackles that were missed on this day from the defensive backfield especially, but also the linebackers, guys trying to make that big hit instead of wrapping up.
Yeah, that's one of the areas that we have to improve. Again, it's another thing so hard. How do you practice that stuff every single week, health-wise?
So the race near the end zone, they'll get a chance to go ahead. Again, the score right now, 14-13. Mark Wright going to hand it to his big back, and then the big back punches it in for the TD. So right now, there's a danger of going down 8. It's 20 to 13, but guess what? The Reaver special teams comes up with a block of their own. So we've seen them miss a field goal or have a field goal blocked and now an extra point block. You guys are doing pretty good on the attacking side of the special teams.
For sure, yeah, we are. And again, now it's a 7-point game. We're back into it, but we convert a big 3rd down, and then we lose this one here. But that was kind of the story of the first half, really. We're just not capitalizing.
Hutch back to work, looking to improve on that 7-point lead. Quick pass to the outside. They stop the clock. Again, marching down. How about that bat away? Devin Drew getting those big hands in there and smacking it down.
It was good because they had some room there. Obviously we were backed up. We were playing off because of it was right before the half. But you don't want to let them have the ball in space. They're playmakers.
Well, you mentioned it. You're down 14. You get back within a point, and then they put another. You're down 7 at the half. Had to feel pretty good going again. I just had that feeling like Hutchinson came in with that #1 ranking, and for some reason, it just changed the psyche of everybody. Not only watching the game, but did it change the psyche of everybody playing the game as well?
Yeah, very easily. I thought they came out pretty fired up. You don't know how they're going to respond when you first time ever being #1. Are you going to take someone lightly, you're a little overconfident, or hey, you're out to prove something? And I thought they did a good job. I thought we matched them. We didn't get enough offensively going that we needed to.
Well, that does it for the first segment of the Stroh Show. When we come back, we'll look at the second half highlights as the Reavers trail by a touchdown going into halftime. Back in a moment on the Reaver Sports Network.
The Dr. John and Jean Marshall Wellness Center, opening summer of 2019, Iowa Western.
Sometimes the things we do or say can make others feel hurt, excluded, or isolated. Everything you say and do creates an impact.
How am I supposed to save the whole world?
You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Because of you, someone's entire life can change. You don't have to be a superhero to have a positive impact.
Friends?
Friends.
From From the IWTV studios, I'm Jake Ryan, along with the head coach of the Iowa Western Reavers, Scott Stroh. Well, Coach, more of a break than you would have liked going into halftime. Right as that clock expired, they call for a lightning delay, which, if people know, it's 30 minutes from the lightning strike. So you've got at least 10 more minutes of halftime than you were expecting, and then I think it ended up being about 25 more minutes than you were expecting. Rain fell. What did you guys do in the locker room to not only to get yourself prepared, but to stay focused? I mean, if you extend it out even more, first of all, you're getting tight. What did you guys do?
Well, and I mean, we made some adjustments obviously right away, and then, I told them just to kind of hang tight, but stay locked in as much as you can. There's nothing you really can do. So a lot of them obviously had their headphones on and, listening to music or whatever it was. But, it always scares you a little bit because then you come out and you got to play 30 more minutes.
Sure. So the second half begins with the Reavers kicking away to the Hutchinson Blue Dragons, down a point. And the worst thing that could have possibly happened happens. Yep. Tyon Evans, we saw him earlier pick up a fumble and race it in from 9 yards out. This time down the sideline, multiple Reavers with a shot at him, but the big back just keeps rumbling. He's rumbling so hard he shook the camera loose, and then all the way into the end zone, 95 yards for the touchdown. Coach, we've seen this before in Reaver history. One of them that reminds me is the Georgia military in season number 1. You look at it, and it's not the same thing, but Mondo Williams fumbling against Georgia military after you guys were close. So they score the touchdown. You guys come out, good reception from Corey Reed, and then the big handoff to Zaquandre White. I couldn't see because you guys are all in the way, but he tight-roped the sideline 50 yards to the house. So that eases the sting of that opening kickoff return. Yeah,
that one, now you're down 14 again and you got to answer it. And so we were fortunate to answer it back to get us within a touchdown again, but not the way we wanted to start the second half for sure.
Absolutely not. 27-20 at this point. Hutch, again, empty backfield here. Mark Wright just kept doing it all day, dumping things off. The big backs and, no empty backfield. He goes play action, then the throw out to the right side. And he's been on the money. Last year for Ellsworth, he didn't quite have the same supporting cast that he's got this year with the Blue Dragons.
Well, I thought they're doing a really good job utilizing him to his strengths. And Hutchinson's been as talented as they've been every other year. Where they lacked in the past was that quarterback position, and they got a good, he's efficient.
And it's interesting that Ellsworth signed the release for Mark Wright when Hutchinson sometimes doesn't return the favor at times with guys. So they have their quarterback, and he's done the work for him. Last week, the previous week for Hutchinson, he did the damage, and this week he continues to do the damage. Nice throw to the outside, and their big tight end. I mean, Lou Dorsey's not a small guy, but that kid dwarfs him right there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they got a pretty looking group of guys across the board.
Yeah, a lot of dudes. Some penalty markers come in after the play is over on this one. They'll go for I believe they did rule that a touchdown. Here's the extra point for Garcia, and a pretty good kicker as well. Looks like he could play linebacker if he chose to as well. So now it is a 34-20 game. Reavers kind of in the hole a bit. And Hutch, well, there's no sign of them slowing down as they continue to get it. Again, Tyon Evans, number 15, not even in the depth chart for the running backs, but he ends up with 2 scores on the day. Plus, he got some work out of the backfield as well with a trio of carries.
Yeah, that's the way it is. They can just keep pounding guys at you, throwing the next guy in. It's unlimited, rosters. But like I said, our guys, we're not tackling extremely well, like you said, right now, and down 14 again, and we were always trying to play catch up.
Did the rain ever factor in as far as the cutting, the grip surface, as far as the defenders cutting or the defenders making the tackles?
Yeah, I mean it. Maybe
great catch for Zion Perry, by the way, there.
Yeah, it was. Again, it was a crucial one. And there we go, one-on-one. We got to make those plays. We had opportunities all day. For whatever reason, we just weren't.
Sure, Hutch back with the football now, and again, still leading 34-20. Trying to find a way, and then the Reavers find a way. Devin Ruffin, look at the spin move, and I saw him getting some grief for this on Twitter. Couldn't quite get in the end zone, but he does set you guys up on a 1st and goal, and then you'll hand off to who else? Zaquandre White. Nice acceleration, gets to the corner, and hits the pylon for the touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we needed, a big play defensively and give us a short field and, to get it back within a touchdown.
So 34-27, it's getting real here in the fourth quarter as Hutchinson continues to have the ball. The clock not necessarily in your favor, but your defense certainly trying to give you the football back.
Well, and I think this one, after the score down 7, and I think that next possession we had a short field, and we got to take advantage of them.
So you see a bunch of the guys making plays for the Reavers. Good punt for Hutch, pins you deep, and then you're trying to get out of the shadow of your own end zone. Zaquandre White does a nice job at getting out past the 10. But then, well, everything kind of collapsing. You talked about having some backup offensive linemen in that just weren't the starting unit that you were ready for to start the week. And then the throw to the outside, the late interception for Hutch. And good thing here that there's a tackle made outside the 10-yard line because it leaves things open for you, especially when they're going to run the ball, they're going to run the clock. Here's the play to the outside. Again, a guy misses low, so it gets a couple extra yards. But on the very next play, their quarterback, Mark Wright, watch this. Whoop! The ball comes loose. Guess who it is again? Number 40 in the area, and Devin Ruffin gets himself an interception and a fumble recovery, both in the fourth quarter, to keep your chances alive.
For sure. You got to go 95 yards here, and we struggled a little bit. That's a good D-line there. I don't care what anybody says.
You go 4 and out. They try for the field goal, maybe a little bit of a block, and this off the crossbar. You get another chance, Coach. And I know I've watched a lot of movies, and miracles happen in movies. I kept thinking this might happen. This might happen, and unfortunately, just not enough time on the clock. You guys just didn't have enough firepower as the drive continues. Final drive of the game, trying to make something happen. Applewhite, what was your take on his performance here as the clock down to, I believe, about 8 seconds after that play?
Well, I mean, I thought, with what we're doing, I thought he did a good job. I mean, one thing we took probably too many sacks, but they weren't all his fault either. I think, in a situation where you have a guy who's never played in, you need that supporting cast to play extremely well,
sure.
And when those guys maybe aren't playing their best, and it's tough on that new guy too. But, it was the story of the game. We had 8 sacks. We had a time where it was 7 points, and we were at the 45-yard, plus 45 going in, and we ended up at our minus 35, with sacks. And,
sure.
and so, I mean, we had a fake punt ready to go. I was going to on fourth and 26, but
Yep.
that's not the best time to be faking punts, But we had some things setting up in the works just because we needed that spark, but the opportunity never came, and it's unfortunate.
Well, you get a 2-point heartbreaker on the road the week before when you got a chance with a stop to go down and get the go-ahead score. This time, you've got a chance, if you can just get the offense going, to go down and tie the game with a touchdown and an extra point. I mean, it's not that you're playing in blowouts. It's so close to being the script being flipped when you're still 3-0 on the season. So the guys, I don't know, I guess when you get to 1 and 2, the mood has to be going down a little bit, but you've got to be able to convince them that, hey, we're not that far off from being 3-0.
Well, I mean, you take out 3 plays probably from each game, and we're in a total different situation, So the challenge sometimes is to get these guys to understand that, the game of football. We've won some on that on both ends too. We've had some during some of our really good seasons where there could have been 2 that could have switched to the other side as well. So now we got an opportunity. We'll see. I didn't want the one loss to carry over to the second loss. And I don't necessarily know that it did, but we have to find and really rally and regroup and try to find the right pieces to the puzzle. Absolutely,
absolutely. You have your 3rd straight game of a 100-yard rusher, so that was good, even though the final rushing total wasn't fantastic with all the sacks. Mm-hmm. But Zaquandre White, you seem to have found your back with him and Brian Steed helping out as well. So you've got a pretty good 1-2 combination. Your quarterback play, we talked about Shelton being rushed in there. Obviously, you've got 2 weeks to decide. Any decision made yet as far as who you'll go with? I know Cam's been dinged up a little bit as well.
Across the board, this week I'm opening up competition at all positions. I think it's not that somebody's playing bad. It's sometimes you got to find the right nucleus or the right group to play with each other, and it's like anything. If a job's not getting done and quarterbacks get all the glory, but they also got to take a little bit of the responsibility too. So, I look at myself as coaching the quarterbacks. What do I got to do? What do they got to do to prepare? Did we prepare them well enough? What do they do best? All that type of stuff. With so limited practice time in camp, it sometimes takes a little while.
Sure.
But I'm opening it up in a lot of positions, and I want to see who comes out when you're 1-2 and a bye week when you don't have a game for 2 weeks. Who's going to come out and practice? Because it's got to be important to you, and I want guys who are just going to go out and compete in a 34-27 game. Shoot, I'm in the game, we're backed up, and I'm thinking, okay, we score, I'm going for 2. Just the way the game was going, trying to think, should we go for 2 for the win? That's the mentality that we had, but just didn't work out.
Yeah, the result disappointing, but there were several performances that we were talking about after the game. One of them, of course, was on the dark side. We've already mentioned his name. Devin Ruffin of the defense was in the right place at the right time when the Reavers needed him late. He'll join IWTV's Adam Ireland when we come back. It's the Coach Stroh Show right here on Iowa Western Television.
Schedule your campus visit today. Iowa Western. The world is waiting.
I'm Adam Ireland. Saturday's near comeback against Hutchinson was made possible by the Reavers' dark side defense. With the Reavers trailing by 2 scores, sophomore linebacker Devin Ruffin intercepted a pass to set up a 1st and goal for the offense. He then recovered a fumble to keep the Reavers' chance alive late in the game. Number 40 joins us now. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, how did you find yourself in the right place for the interception?
It was stress throughout fall camp and all season from Coach Blackburn. My job in zone is just to read the quarterback's eyes, and that play I just read the quarterback's eyes, and I wanted to be in there at the right time.
When you caught it, were you trying to go as hard as you could for the touchdown, or? Because I saw you got some grief on Twitter about that.
Yeah, I was, but I seen a couple blockers in front of me, and I thought it looked perfect, like a perfect picture, but some guys missed a couple blocks, and I couldn't get there.
If you could go back and run a different route, would you after you caught that, or do you think you probably chose the best one you could have?
Actually, no, looking at the film, I feel like I could have stayed more outside. It took a way easier path to get to the touchdown.
And then coming from St. Louis, do you have a favorite NFL team or anything like that?
I really try not to pay too much to NFL. There's too much crazy stuff going on. I'm more of a college football type of guy.
And then later in the 4th, you found yourself in the right place again with a fumble recovery. What were your thoughts going through your head when that happened? You saw the ball fly out of his arms.
First thought was scoop and score, but I seen the situation, how close the receiver was to the ball, and I just knew as far as the team's sake, I had to dive on it.
And before the whole game, what was your mindset going into the game?
Just to play my role and make big plays.
And then into a bye week, finally a chance for some guys to get healthy. What do you plan on doing on the weekend off?
Just chilling with the guys, getting closer, and understand that we still got it. We can still stay in it. It isn't over with.
Then you have a lot of season left to play. Do you feel like you're going to try and practice on something better, or to better yourself and better your team altogether?
Basically, as far as me and the team, it just focus on the little things. The little things always stop us from losing. It's never the big things. We always just need to be in the right place at the right times.
There's sophomore linebacker Devin Ruffin. I'm Adam Ireland. Jake and Coach are back to wrap up this edition of the Coach Stroh Show when we come back on the Reaver Sports Network and IWTV.
drop that baby.
From Council Bluffs, Iowa, and the studios of IWTV, we are back with more Stroh Show. About the worst thing that can happen has happened. You're riding a loss into a bye week. What have you done this week to forget about the last 2 weeks? And what have you done to prepare for a game that's pretty important to you as far as Garden City coming to town on the 21st?
Well, it's hard. It's hard to, like I said, we got 2 weeks to deal with this one. But I don't know. We had a meeting on Sunday, and we're going to go back to work. And, we don't practice on Monday, so we're going to go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and just again try to bring some fun to it again, and get some good work in. And then we got, like I said, we're in a position now where we got to figure some things out, because I promise you this much: I don't care what our record is. People want to knock Iowa Western down, and when they're down, they say don't kick someone when they're down. Well, they're going to kick us, every opportunity they can. So we either battle through and find a way to get it turned around, or we continually get kicked. And I'm not a big fan of being kicked, because the last couple weeks have been tough.
Yeah, I bet they have. Guys, on official visits this weekend at all?
I'm not sure. I think there's some that are trying to plan some, and that's really what with a bye week, I give them Friday and Saturday, and then we meet back up on Sunday evening, just so they can, if they get an opportunity to go on an official visit, they can. I think there's a few that are looking at it.
All right, well, good luck to those Reavers. With an off weekend, we will remind you that the Reavers are back in action on Saturday, September 21st. It's part of a triple header with women's and men's soccer. Reaver football will kick off the day at 1 o'clock against Garden City, followed by the women's soccer team facing Nyack at 5, and the men's game to follow that one. The free tailgate, as always, starts 2 hours before the game at 11 a.m. with live music from the Pluckin' Nuts and freshly grilled food. The youth cheer clinic will happen that day as well, perform at halftime. If you'd like to sign up your little cheerleader, you can log on to the cheer page at GoReavers.com to see how you can sign up and get free tickets to the game. We'll also have all 3 games, football and both soccer games, on that day on Iowa Western Television in brilliant HD with play-by-play calls. So please join us at the stadium, or make sure you join us at GoReavers.com. Thanks again to sophomore linebacker Devin Ruffin, head coach Scott Strohmeyer, and all the hardworking IWTV students that make this show happen week in and week out. I'm Jake Ryan for Adam Ireland. Thanks for tuning in for another edition of The Stroh Show on Iowa Western Television and the Reavers Sports Network. Go Reavers!